My name is Salman Farsi. In this documentary film, I'll attempt to depict the lives, stories, and struggles of the Muslims in Toronto. I'm going to take the viewers of this documentary on a tour to another side of the city that I like to call the Muslim Toronto.
I'm gonna quote from your Qur'an, Surah 23. I learned it in school. If you see the Jewish and the Christian, corner them and kill them. You go asking Muhammad about that. Huh? Take your possession. Where do you find them? How can you say about that? And you're standing here and telling me you know about Islam. You know nothing about it. No, I'm not. You know nothing about Islam. You know nothing. Because I was one of them.
And then after when I studied, I remember I called her ignorant because she wasn't looking at the issue exactly. She was just looking at her experience that she had in Egypt. And I just stood there. I'm like, okay. You know, then I started noticing there's like a big crowd over here, maybe like 20 people or more, I don't know.
Men are so Western, right? The women cannot speak Spanish. What kind of religion is that? You are not following your religion. So
you're not wearing a hijab. You're not following religion. You're not wearing a hijab.
No, that's not true.
No, you're not a practicing Muslim.
Let me ask you a question. Why does Islam teach to kill Christians?
yeah.
No, it does. Surah 9:29. Kill those who do not follow Muhammad or Allah. Why don't you read your Quran? And then you say to me that you should teach that crap in school and allow that crap in school? Islam is a satanic cult, and you know it. No, because if you follow any Islamic country, they're killing Christians and Jews. They're doing it. Why don't you open your eyes? All we're asking is the parents, your Muslim parents, get you out of the school to stop praying. Go to school and read and write like everybody else, but no prayers. If you guys have a religion of peace, if you guys have a religion of good quality and love, then look what you're causing. Look at the trouble. Why? Because you're asking things that shouldn't be.
Because we're asking to pray?
No, because the Quran teaches to kill Christians.
No.
Yes, it does.
And for me, I wasn't offended with the things they said to me because I thought these people don't know, Islam. They see what's in the media.
Now, if these people are ignorant about Islam, and the media is saying they're terrorists, they're this, they're doing this, they're killing innocent people. Oh, we got Toronto 18, even though they created the whole myth, and then they're gonna hate you.
You're not standing up and saying, no, Muhammad ﷺ had a treaty with Christians in the time of his life, and we're not supposed to be bad to them. No, our Prophet, when he went to Medina, he said, spread peace and distribute food. Muhammad ﷺ was a rahmatul lil alameen, a mercy to all that exists. They don't know that because you're not saying it. So when Fox News comes, these people blow up people and they shoot people and they give you a verse that's taken out of context and they give you a hadith that's taken out of context and they give you all this different stuff and you're sitting there going, I didn't know that. Change the channel, brother. Let's watch Bollywood. Let's watch something. Let's watch World Cup. Let's watch something else. While your neighbor's out there watching that and he goes, Muhammad lives next door. Does he really think like that about me, that he should kill me?
And Canadians are a little bit interesting because of the fact that they're very passive in their, discrimination. They're not going to come out and tell you straight up, oh, you shouldn't be in my country, go back to where you're from. But it's the subtle things, it's the way they look at you, it's the assumptions they make, it's the things that they sometimes don't say that really get to you. And it's one of those, feelings of, you don't feel like you belong. You feel like a foreigner in a country where actually I was born in. So technically I'm more Canadian than some people who, might accuse me otherwise. So Islamophobia does exist regardless of what, the Canadian general public might think.
Be giving you a little tour in Teesdale. Alhamdulillah, this area is a lot of Muslims, very Muslim dominated. I can say 70% of Teesdale is Muslims. I'm a youth tenant representative, so I try to get many of the kids, whether they're Muslims or non-Muslims, to stay out of that street level, that street mentality. Kind of get them to the path of, for Muslim kids, know who they are, know their identity, know their Islam. It gives me an experience working with not only Muslims but also non-Muslims at the same time. Although this area, alhamdulillah, kind of quieted down, calmed down, it's still a lot of negativity. You see a lot of police patrolling, a lot of police brutality. A lot of brothers have gotten beat up. We see, alhamdulillah, a lot of brothers converted in this neighborhood. We have about 6-7 brothers that converted in this very neighborhood. Well, this is a basketball court over here. But at the same time, I feel that the Muslims, we do need a community center. Kids come in here to play basketball, they're still in the violence. You still see the violence around you, but if we had our own Muslim community center, we have our place to pray, we have our place to play basketball, soccer, hockey, whatever, any sport. So it's very important to have a Muslim community center, very important.
Our Muslim neighborhoods have a lot of mosques. In some areas, even up to 3 mosques within a kilometer. But we have no Muslim community center. What are your thoughts on this topic?
You know, it's since 90s I've been saying this. I've been saying enough masajid. Enough. And even during the regular prayers, we don't have, packed masajid. For Maghrib or Isha, which is, the high time or the peak, 3 or 4 lines, 5, 6, good masjid. But the rest of the masjid is empty. So why do we have to build masajid only for Jummah and Eid? Well, we have over 60% of the Muslim population in Toronto are youth. And they're not coming to the masjid, by the way. They're not coming to the masjid. So from 90s, I was saying, let us start building masajid and let us build Muslim recreation centers or Islamic communities.
We need to have things like community centers. It's one thing that we don't have yet, and we've had Muslims here for many years, and I think it's time that we build something together that can be ours.
We need facilities, we need institutions, we need buildings where we can go and not only build a building where the people can come, but we have to have a place that we can build the next generation to be really good Muslims.
Basically, basketball court, we used to have like a little fence, and when people would be playing basketball, it'd be easier for the police to come and kind of get you trapped and stop you in your own neighborhood. You may not be even a bad person, you can just be a kid playing basketball who's a teenager, but you look like a bad person, minding your own business, and you see the police coming in and harassing you in front of all these people witnessing, and nobody really does anything about it.
He takes me over to the building next to his, where he introduces me to a couple of brothers who have recently accepted Islam, and they tell me a little bit more about their experiences being new Muslims.
My name is Bilal. I've been a Muslim now for almost a year. I've been living in this community for a long time before I converted. But being a Muslim in this community now, it's I actually find it a lot easier to me. Being on the straight path, it helps you to think different, to say. It helps you to think different because a lot of things that you're used to doing, you think twice, 3 times, even 4 times sometimes before you're doing it.
My name is Yusuf. I've been a Muslim for 6 years. I felt a sense of like I didn't care on this earth. I could do whatever I want. I was thinking basically like a kafir, right? And I had no goal. I was just out there. Right, but I also felt empty. So I used to think every Muslim was a brother, like I was open to every brother, right? But I found the hard way that even Muslims can be conniving to another Muslim brother.
I'll just give an example from me, my own self. Sometimes I'll go to a different mosque and just say, for instance, like I'll be making wudu or something, and somebody else would come in and I'll say Assalamu alaikum, and they would look at me strange because number one, I guess they're not expecting someone like me to be there, or, maybe it's just their own cultural, beliefs that, they don't necessarily want to mix and mingle with, anybody else, or I don't know what their views are, but for me, I would say the segregation is one problem that we have.
Is culture a problem within the Muslims of Toronto?
Absolutely. We live in a time where Muslims can't tell the difference between what is cultural and what is Islamic. And culture has embedded itself into Islam so much so that somebody could be practicing what they think is Islam and really it has nothing to do with the religion at all.
the Prophet ﷺ, taught us to follow or keep to our cultures, our individual cultures, as long as it does not stop our practice of Islam. And you find people that let the culture speak louder in their actions than Islam does, and that's when it becomes a problem. Not allowing your children to intermarry from different backgrounds, different ethnicities. As long as Islam is there, it came to eradicate all boundaries, ethnicities, and tribal boundaries and stuff like that. So I think we definitely need to work on that aspect.
What I've noticed is when I go to masjids, me and my brothers, the converts, we stay together and we learn, and we go to different masjids just to see which one is more welcoming, right? And we've seen that in certain masjids is like a certain type of culture is more dominant. So in one masjid it could be a lot of Pakistanis, one masjid could be a lot of Afghanis, one masjid could be a lot of Bengalis. That's fine, but as I understand, we're all supposed to be one.
A lot of the masajid tend to be built, whether we like to admit it or not, tend to be built on culture lines. If you go to certain mosques in the city, those mosques are full of a certain ethnic people. I'm not gonna put anyone out, like it's not exclusive to one group. I think many of the groups have it, whether it's in the west or the east or the north or uptown or downtown. A lot of the masajid are built based on cultural lines, and that's not something that's good in Islam.
We're all divided, we have our own different communities. We don't really have that understanding La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah in that one ummah sense. We all have our own communities with our own cultures, whether if you're Somali you're here, if you're Indian you're here, if you're Pakistani here, if you're Arab you're here.
And then you get brothers like me who come in. We don't have a culture. We don't belong to one of these, cultures from east or west or north or south. We were born and raised here. So where do we fit in now? Right? You go to this place and they're speaking Somali. You go to this place, you're speaking Arabic. You go to this place, they're speaking Urdu. You go to this place, they're speaking any other different kind of languages. And really, this deen is one, and our ummah should be one. And it shouldn't be based on tribal or cultural or ethnic lines.
So culture is such a huge problem that it has embedded itself so deep into the Muslim community that the Muslim youth can't even get married due to cultural problems.
Is marriage made easy for the Muslim youth who want to get married young?
Zina was made easy for them. Zina is made easy for them. Marriage, no. Parents, they like to play dumb. They like to play innocent. They like to assume, yes, my son, my daughter, they go to school, they sit in a class that every single girl has a boyfriend and every single boy has a girlfriend, and during the class and outside the class, they doing what is not allowed, kissing, hugging, touching each other, and they assume this kid, like Yusuf alayhi salatu wassalam, will see all this ma'asiyah and will concentrate on his school and his Qur'an between the classes, and he will sit in the masjid, read Riyadh al-Salihin, and then he will come back out of his school, mashallah, untouched, pure. He was lowering his gaze, and the girls was mashallah not talking to the boys. They like to assume that, but that is not the reality. That is not the reality. Everything is available. The girls are coming and approaching me. I want to protect myself. I want to get married. MashaAllah, I found a young girl. She's good. MashaAllah, we're both going to be in school. We're going to live our life as a Muslim, but at least we are protecting ourselves. And Allah promised us, if you're afraid of poverty or if you're afraid that we cannot handle our responsibility, Allah promised in the Qur'an that He will take care of us. And He promised in the Sunnah, it is wajib on Allah to maintain us. We just want to get married. Is a day of Qiyamah? No. I know parents who know for a fact that their boys, their sons are bringing girlfriends to his room. he's bringing his girlfriend to the house, and they going upstairs, and sometimes they spend the whole night together, and they say, oh mashallah, he's a good boy, he prayed last Eid, you know, he goes to Jum'ah once in a while, he's a good boy. If that boy says, you know, I want to fear Allah, I want to make tawbah, I want to marry this young girl, never. You know, what do you expect them, what do you think they're doing upstairs? Reading Sahih al-Bukhari? You know, what do you expect? You know, do you think they're reading the seerah of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? They're not. So parents, they want to play, you know, dumb, and they say, yay, when I got married, I was 30 years old. I finished my school, you know, I took care of my family, I was the oldest, you know, you got to do the same. Guess what? You were in Pakistan, you were in Somalia, you were in Sudan, the environment was different, the whole system was helping you, you know, but here is different. So marriage is made so difficult in so many different levels. And I will say to the parents who are watching this, to fear Allah concerning their children. Because if these kids commit ma'asiyah, the parents should not assume the ma'asiyah is being hanged around the neck of those people. No, it's on their necks as well. Because they the one who forced the children, these young people, to do this. Trust me. In my office, I have thousands of people who came through my office saying, we want to get married, we don't want to commit zina. Or they're saying, look, a sister will say, look at me, I'm wearing hijab, I'm okay, you know, but I'm afraid to fall into ma'asiyah. You know, I'm in love with this young man, or young man says, I'm in love with this young girl. I just don't know what to say to my parents. And what is the excuse of the parents? You gotta finish your education. See, now, they're thinking about their dunya, but they're overlooking about their akhirah.
The issue of marriage is that a lot of the people they're getting beat up. A lot of the young people, we see them. We've seen them many times. I mean, we've seen guys who go now and they're good guys. They're really good guys, and they're really committed. They're very sincere. And the girls also want to be committed and sincere, and they connect with each other and they say, you know what, we should get married. You know what I mean? Let's just make this halal and done. And the parents say, no, you can't do that. He's not from nothing bitter. No. You can't come here. Yeah, Habiba. No. This guy, he's not for you. He's not from our culture. He's not from our tribe, and so on and so forth. You know, I went with one brother, not long ago, many years ago actually, and I went with him, and we're going now to, he made a proposal to one sister. They're only talking on the phone and they're meeting and so on and so forth, and with permission from the family and so on like that. And then the sister, she talked to her father, and the father said, listen, honey, whatever you want is okay with me. You have my permission. And he gave her brother permission as well, okay, to get married. Then he goes to the father is out of the country, so he goes now to the brother of the sister, and he's talking to the brother, and the two brothers, they start reciting Qur'an. This guy's Qur'an in his tajweed is better than the next guy's. And the brother saying, mashallah, man, mashallah. He's impressed with him. Everything is going smoothly. The thing looks like it's on. And then the mother comes out, takes one look at the guy, said, since she, like this, that's it. It's over, right? But she had to have an excuse. What is the excuse? Well, she can't get married till her older sister gets married. This is our culture. He said, okay, sister, with all due respect. Okay? The brother, he had permission, the daughter had permission from her father. The brother had permission from the father and everybody else in your family, but you come now and say culture. Now, I just have one question with respect. Is culture higher than religion, or is religion higher than culture? We asked them. What did they say? They said that religion is higher than culture. Then sister, everything is needed, is in place for these two to get married and so on like that. She refused to allow it. Because again, the priority, religion may be higher than culture, but culture is preferred. You see? So the people, they have their own ways that they organize that. But at the same time, we've seen girls and young brothers, we represent them to go and get married. And when the thing breaks up, what happened is, one of the sisters, she went and left Islam. She went and left Islam and found herself a kafir guy. That's it. Done. Okay? And her whole family is Muslim. The family's humiliated, it's devastating, and so on and so forth. They don't want to talk to the girl. Now she's got kids. The kids are what? What are they?
So it's been very difficult for many of the Muslim kids because they have to deal with culture, they have to deal with finances, they have to deal with society. It's not cool to be young and be married. You have your whole life to go and live and have fun and go to school and see the world. Why would you want to be righteous and get married?
And this is what we mentioned about cultural, really seeping into the lives of Muslims today. If a guy or a girl, 19 years old, wants to get married, the first thing that they hear in response is you're too young, or you don't have this, or you don't have that. So they're automatically discouraged. So marriage is not made easy for them at all. And what happens as a result? They start falling into things that initially they never even thought of. They didn't want to fall into those mistakes, but they were left with no choice. They didn't know what else to do.
What struggles do the Muslim youth face in Toronto? What sort of struggles?
A lot. Again, the issue of identity. Who are they? Are they Pakistani? Are they Somalis? Are they Muslims? Are they Canadian?
There's a lot of people, a lot of Muslim brothers in Toronto. We're struggling a lot. Not most of us know everything about Islam. So if any Muslim brothers out there, any Muslim sister out there hearing me, please help the next people. Help them get into the religion. Help them practice their salat, everything. Help them with their dua, with their Qur'an, everything. There's a lot of people who want to convert too. There's a lot of people who wants to convert. But without a Muslim brother's help, it can't happen because they won't know what to say.
I mean, a lot of youth talk to me and they tell me how it is growing up here. They say that oftentimes they're told to do things and they don't know why they're supposed to do them. And the people telling them to do them don't know why they're supposed to do them either. So there's a certain disconnect with the brothers and sisters who have to grow up here and the ones who came here.
So when they grow like this, they lose their identity. Are they Muslim? Are they Canadian? Are they Pakistani? Arab? Or, what are they? And so the community expecting them to be certain things. Masajid at the same, like the parents, they want, okay, you got to be a doctor, you got to be an engineer, you got to be this. The message said, no, you got to be a Muslim. You got to, school said, you got to be cool. You got to hang around with girls. You got to do this. So they don't know, and for a very, very long time, they are in search of who they are.
The Muslim youth have so many struggles, but to identify just a few of them. Number one, trying to find where they fit in. Because unfortunately, some of the Muslims, they're born into Muslim families, but the environments that they live in actually make them what they call Dhul Wajhain. They wake up in the morning with the attitude that I'm Muslim, but then when they go out into society, maybe the Muslim brother, he'll take off his kufi, or the Muslim sister, she'll take off her hijab, just to kind of blend in with Bob and Sally and Susie. And yes, we're Muslims and we're Canadian, so we have to blend into a certain understanding, but at the same time, where do we fit in? Because, as you know, that we have our own specific identity, Muslim.
I'm pretty sure that the main struggle of Muslim youth in Toronto is about the money situation, because everybody's trying to get money. It's either halal or haram.
Being a young Muslim teen in Toronto isn't easy because a lot of them get caught up into drugs, money, sex, that kind of lifestyle, and they don't really go towards their faith. A lot of us are even fighting each other now, us Muslims. Muslims are fighting Muslims, Muslims are killing Muslims. What's the word on the street now? What's the word in the media? Muslims. Why don't we do something for a change so that we could be out there in the media and then people could say, yeah, Muslims are great people after all, not just freaking terrorists.
So I catch up with a brother who has recently accepted Islam here in Toronto. And he tells me a little bit about his struggle and his experience with jail.
At the East Detention right now. Fortunate situations led me to have to do some time in there. But that's what happens when you make mistakes, you know? When you're from places like this, from poverty, you know, you grow up in poverty, you're forced to make decisions that you don't really want to do. And you know, you got to end up doing some grimy things. That's just what it is. Me turning Muslim it just made me a better person. It made me more peaceful. It made me realize that, you know, you have something to live for in the afterlife, you know? That people do care about you, you know? You have something really to believe in. That's what it is, you know? You do some wrong things in life, you're just gonna end up right here in a box. That's what it is, doing the same things over and over again every day. Every single day, just the same thing over and over again, you know, till you know you done your time, you know. So we're trying to show people that you don't want to end up there.
We have issues with people who are involved with gangs or drugs or violence or crime or a bunch of different stuff, maybe everything. And the reality is that we're not coming out to set up institutions or to be able to support the institutions or the people who can run the institutions to be able to deal with these matters.
The older brothers, they don't realize that there are Muslims in Toronto that are going to jail in huge numbers.
Now, almost every other society, every other group of people in our society, they have these things in place to be able to help their people. They have organizations to be able to help alcoholics or drug addicts to come out to deal with their stuff. Like, we don't have nothing.
There's a huge disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation. Because the older brothers and sisters, again, they come from very conservative countries where these things are unheard of. If someone is addicted to drugs in a Muslim country, it's a big deal, and there's usually only one in the village. Here, you may have 5 on your block.
But for the youth, you know, many of the youth, they're not able to have programs in these institutions or masajid because many of the elders, the way they grew up practicing their Islam and how they run the masjid, they don't understand that the youth should come there and have it as a place to hang out, to be educated, to be entertained, and to just kick back.
What you want? The deen or the green? I'll ask you right now, man, you better choose wisely, cause the devil's eyes be watching you, and he's praying for the day that you walk into his trap and hopefully see a coffin soon so you can spend forever with them where it's rotten, doomed. But doomed is our generation, on that day of judgment asking where we spend our days in, speechless, pathetically giving into our cravings and hoping on the fact that God's mercy is amazing. But do we all deserve it? And if we don't, then in hell we'll be blazing. And in it on that day is most of the population of the world as we know it. Muslims bite tongue, but if I ask you, you show it. Memorize music, the Qur'an, do you know it? But who am I to judge? Cause of course I ain't perfect. I rap over music and I ask, is it worth it? My homie got shot, the Qur'an he ignoring. Brother hit the streets his janazah next morning. I pray Allah forgive us all. But to be honest, man, I doubt it. Especially the ones that's not following. Don't know the Quran, but know what Drake's motto is. Hollow lids, that's the problem, kids. And hopefully we make it like how the Sahabas did. And when you die, better hope the timing is right. Look at my city, the devil's having the time of his life. Got brothers my age following what Tupac did, but got no time for following all of the prophets. Hopefully we find a cure for this wreckage. And if Allah wills, I'll save a soul with this message. The Muslim Toronto.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the unity within the Muslims of Toronto?
Out of 10?
10.
From my personal experience, I'll give it a low 3. I'll give it a low 3. And I'm being generous.
I'm giving it a 2.
3. 5 to 4.
I would say it's about a 6.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the unity of the Muslim people here in Toronto?
That's a tough one, brother, because, and again, I apologize in advance, but this is my opinion. I would say we're probably about a 4 when it comes to unity amongst the Muslims in this city.
In all honesty, I would probably give it a 3 to a 4 out of 10, with all honesty.
I would say about maybe 5, 5.5.
I would say 4.5. 4.5.
I would say a 3 out of 10.
You're gonna get me killed for this question. Goodness gracious. I would have to say a 4. At least a 4.
So for the last question, if you can look directly in the camera. Okay, so if you had the opportunity to speak to every Muslim person in Toronto, what words of advice would you give them? If you can look directly in the camera, inshallah.
My advice to the brothers and the sisters of the city of Toronto, I would say concentrate on unity. And keep in mind that we are one ummah. And we can work together as ummah. And if we can find one person that we can appoint to be the Amir of the city of Toronto, let us work towards that. Let us that be a goal, that we all say, we appoint so and so to be the Amir of the city of Toronto. Yes, we may disagree with him later on, but from outside, we have one person who can speak for us, one person who people can speak to them. We have to get together and be united. And let us find that man or that person who can lead the ummah of the city of Toronto to the right direction. Wallahu a'la wa a'lam.
Din and Nasiha. The Prophet ﷺ said that Din and Nasiha, our religion is based on good advice. I would tell the young people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has raised you and honored you in dignity based on your Islam, not on anything else. There's nothing else out there for you that's going to give you more honor and dignity, not being in the gangs or dealing with drugs or anything else. You'll only find your honor and dignity with Islam. So you can find your self-esteem with that, and it's very important. I would tell the sisters, most importantly, to fear Allah, and also to do what you can to raise the children of our ummah in a way that helps them to really appreciate who they are, the blessings that Allah has given them, and the victory that Allah wants us to have. I once heard from Malcolm X, I'm not sure he's the first one who said it, Al-Hajj Malik Shabazz, may Allah give him Jannah. He said, when you teach a man, you teach a person, but when you teach the women, you teach a nation, because the women teach our children. So we hope that the women would become better teachers for our children, and that our children would take the lessons from the women and from the men of our community, and that they would learn how to be good Muslims, and that they would be among those people who sincerely worship Allah, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would forgive us for where we fall short, what we do that's wrong, and help us to be among those people who are guided. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq wa sadat, the ability to hit the mark. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
What would you say to them briefly?
Well, I would ask all the Muslims listening and watching this, what have they done for the Ummah recently? Because I think it's so often that we look at, the Muslim community and leaders in the community and people who are involved in the da'wah, and they criticize and they complain, but, very rarely do you find people who are stepping up to the plate and taking on various initiatives. And that can be something, that doesn't necessarily mean you're in front of a camera, doesn't mean you're on the minbar, doesn't mean you're in front of a microphone, but what are you doing behind the scenes? What are you doing to help improve the Muslim situation? Because it's one thing to complain, but it's one thing to be proactive and looking for a solution. So I challenge anyone watching this to find a problem, and as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned to us, that if you see something wrong in this world, you should try and change it with your hands. If you can't change it with your hands, you should try and change it with your tongue. And if not, then at least hate it in your heart, for that is the weakest form of faith. But at least for your own benefit, look to see how you can change something, whether with your hands or your tongue, or at least looking to advise the people that are involved in it to make things better. And inshallah, we'll have a better place for our kids to grow up in, and the Muslims in this country will grow, and the non-Muslims or not yet Muslims will increase, and inshallah we will all meet in Jannah for those. Ameen. Jazakallah khair.
If you want to make change, first of all, change yourself. Ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Save yourself and your family. Alaykum anfusakum. Look to yourself. Brothers and sisters, change to be able to do something positive for the community. I believe, ya ikhwan, that it starts with an individual, and then they share their thoughts with somebody else. And after a while, ya ikhwan, we have many people working together. Very powerful, ya ikhwan. Allah Ta'ala, He said, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold together, in plural, to the rope of Allah, and do not divide into different groups. So Ya Ikhwan, this change will begin with you. Ya Akhawat, it will begin with you. Stand up, take charge. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
What I would say to my fellow Muslim sisters in the city of Toronto and hopefully beyond, I would say stick to the Qur'an and the Sunnah, stick to the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Stick to your identity. Do not lose your identity by assimilating. Integrate into the communities you live in because it's important, but don't assimilate. Don't lose who you are. Be proud of being a Muslimah. Be proud of your hijab. Be proud of your identity. No matter where you come from, no matter the differences in ethnicities, backgrounds, how we were brought up, how we live our lives now, the only common denominator that we should really worry about is Islam.
What would I say to the whole ummah? You've been given something that no other people have been given in the history of humanity. You've been given something from the creator of all that is created, from the one who put the sun in its place. You've been given a message straight from him, delivered to you by the best messenger that ever lived, alayhi salatu wasalam, being Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. You've been given something that is perfect in its nature, and you need to, all of us, we need to return back to that, because Islam is without a shadow of a doubt, if rightly applied, the solution to humanity. There is nothing better than this. Before Islam, we were people who were degraded, and with Islam, we are people who are dignified if we apply it. You are living in a place that's beginning and its end have been determined already. And you are headed to a place, al-akhirah, that is endless. So be very, very sure and careful of what you put forward for that place.
O Muslims of Toronto, I remind you of one verse in the Qur'an, Surah number 25, Ayah number 30. The Prophet, peace be upon him, he complained to Allah and he said, O my Lord, my people have taken the Qur'an and they've abandoned it. O mankind, O Muslims of Toronto, come back to the religion of Allah, come back to your Lord.